Warm welcome back. I'm switching off my video because I have a challenge in terms of uh, you know my bandwidth today. It's already giving me a hard time. So I've switched off my video for a while. But yeah, you can hear my voice. So that's better. I can probably use my bandwidth in my voice signal there. So thanks guys. Thanks a lot and very warm welcome. Thanks for being on time. Uh, Today, I've got a different topic altogether, and you might be wondering, what is this executive guide? Right? A lot of you would have heard about Disciplined Agile and multiple webinars from me, Ashish, on the Disciplined Agile. So the whole thought process, which I was just sitting one day and I was thinking about it. If you are an executive sitting in an executive position in an executive chair, right? What's in it for you? Why should you adopt Disciplined Agile altogether? While a lot of people would have a very high level insights, but they wouldn't know the justification for the use of it. So I was just thinking about it, and all of a sudden, this great thought process from PMI came to my mind, and this Disciplined Agile guide, actually speaking, is already a book on Amazon, thanks to the great authors and the partners of the Disciplined Agile Consortium, the great Mark Ambler and the Mark Lyons and Scott Ambler. And this is all the presentation, have been slides been picked up from their presentation as well. So let me back that thing to you now. So then I happened to go through the executive guide to Disciplined Agile, and then I realized, as an executive, okay, when my team approaches me saying that we need a freedom, okay, from the approach, we need freedom to choose, we need our own respect to be awesome, right? We need our own workflow to be selected, or we need our own governance to be set up in terms of a lean governance. We don't want to scale the agile right now, but we just want to leave the agile implementation as is. And whenever we think we should change our approach, whether scalability is needed, we should be able to change it. So we need that choice. So Disciplined Agile, as you all know, most of you would be aware, give you choices, isn't it? So then the question is, why would your senior management or executive level folks, let me make you assume you are sitting in an executive chair, every one of you right now, you are in an executive chair, and just thinking about it, that what is this Disciplined Agile? Why has it been utilized? What is a new concept coming from PMI? And when you think through it, you don't get a ready-made answer because your team is equally new to that. Or team need a flexibility. So team try to convince you in executive chair about the framework, about this. It's not a framework, it's a toolkit. And it's very tough to make decision, right? So it's not only getting harder today. Why should we have this altogether? So I thought about a topic today. I thought I'll just try to make you aware, as if you were executive decision maker, okay, or if you have to influence your thought processes on the executive decision maker, then how should you go about it? Let's say you are a product owner, or you are a scrum master, or you are a project manager, or you are a team lead. and you have to influence the thoughts of the senior leadership. So what's the way out then? So then probably the way out is some kind of awareness of discipline agile and the rational business case justification for that at a high level, which all of you should be able to understand. So that was the whole thought. I thought I'll probably spend about 30-40 minutes on this today and leave it open for your thoughts. So welcome, guys. That was a little bit of a background of how this topic came to my mind. And then I'll go about 30-40 minutes explaining these concepts as if you guys are, on the executive chair right now. If you have a questions, please type it in the question panel. The chat window would be disabled. So I'll take up the questions after I'm finished. So feel free to answer those questions. I'm sorry, I'll feel free to ask the questions. I'll be most happy to answer those questions. So let's begin. What's in it for the day today? Right? I'm going to skip my introduction for a while because time is very crucial in this today's webinar. So agenda for the day. Quick introduction. I already talked about why this very topic. We'll quickly touch upon the mindset and principles, and today, in today's specific webinar, we will focus it on the applications of this. So applications of the mindset and the principles. We'll talk about scaling factors. We also talk a little bit about guided continuous improvement, as if the continuous improvement wasn't enough. And we'll talk about a very interesting concept, rather very relatively new, called integrated life cycle. And we'll see what that life cycle is all about at scale. Okay. Now, the need to improve the way your organization operates, the way the projects happen, the way your environment works. It seems every day there are changes in your business environments. We all live in a VUCA environment, unfortunately or fortunately. So living in uncertainty become imperative or become mandatory for you and I both. It seems every day there are changes in the business environment. To be honest with you, there are so many changes. I also realize this day in, day out. There are so many changes, impromptu, which happens, and you are unable to cope up with it. No matter which method you use, whether you use the PMBOK approach of a traditional or predictive framework, you use agile approach or adaptive framework, you use incremental, iterative, you use whichever approach you want. You use a Scrum, you use a Kanban, you use a Lean, you use Disciplined Agile, you use SAFe. Unless you realize this change first, that it is occurring, right? Customers' needs are getting increased day by day. Customers are not really happy with satisfaction. I'll repeat, customers not really happy with the satisfaction. They need delights. World of project management that you and I learned come from says that, okay, there is a scope creep always. And hence the agile methods have a way around the scope creep for sure. However, there are few challenges there. Digital transformation happening across. The pace of a technology and a business change is so rapid. What do you do in this case scenarios? Security threats, for that matter, right? Ransomware. I keep hearing ransomware everywhere. And even the smallest of the company, which do not hide, which do not make it obvious that they have been attacked by ransomware. There'll be so many companies, right? And that $1 billion loss, billions of dollars at loss. There are disruptive competitors which are playing and which are blindsiding. They're playing at your strength and playing to their strength and playing at your weaknesses. And they are blindsiding the established organizations today. The new company came up. I was, by the way, I was reading an article yesterday, Zerotha. I'm not sure if you heard about this company. This company, in no amount of time, has become #1 stockbroker in India. Could you realize that? Where did it come from? Where was Uber? Right? And so many examples you would have kept, hearing about. Where was Airbnb? Where was Tesla? It said that every company is a software company now. And these are the words from the great Tesla's owner. Every company is a software company. Every business is a software business now, thanks to the world of automation and digitization. I'll give you a quick example. For example, within the finance industry in particular, I personally worked across a lot of BFSI clients. I witnessed this first-hand sense of emergency or of panic. The companies aggressively adopt agile and lean across their organization. Now, when I speak to the leadership, they universally cite the fintech. Everywhere fintech revolution is happening as a source of their concern. So they are worried whether the competitors will, take over them. For example, even the banks like Bank of Baroda and Bank of India in India, okay, and many other banks, let alone the established banks like Standard Chartered Bank and Hong Kong Bank, and of course the worlds like Citibank, okay, or for that matter NBFC organizations like JP Morgan of the world. Everybody is worried about this classic newcomer in the business. So recently, a new class of the companies which have been turned up primarily do not even understand the brick and mortar situation, guys. It's all online everywhere. So that was a whole thought process this guide had captured, actually speaking. When I read this guide, you see the book available now here in the picture. This is available on Amazon. It's a Kindle book, by the way. It's not a hard copy though. A hard copy must be out of stock. So this is a Kindle book primarily. But yeah, it just talks about all these things, right? Every organization is a unique organization. Now, there are a few challenges when I say that, okay? Every org structure reflects very long, right? Hierarchical, drawn out processes, right? Aging workforce. Particular problem with the IT guys, because the much of the knowledge you have or the core solution, one, it resides in the head of the people who either are going to retire or who do not want to make it obvious, or there is a rapid change, and thanks to the technologies like artificial intelligence, we know the days of the cloud were gone already. We are in the new world already, right? In the world of artificial intelligence and machine learning. The challenges are huge. Organization silos, misalignment between the business and IT, which is a waste, in fact, right? Governance processes which are just like sticking in the dark. It's just sucking the whole organization decision making. So in these scenarios, what one can expect? One can only expect the disruption. One can only expect the change in the mindset. One can only expect the change in approach. One can only expect to ready and jump off the cliff, right? As I said, every business is a software business, right? Every organization is going to be a software organization. In fact, I was reading a classic case study about a Canadian, one of the biggest, insurance company called ICBC, Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, and they are, trying to utilize the Disciplined Agile approach. So they said, like every other organization, that's been in the business for many years, they've been suffering from these challenges, and they too, face these challenges. And probably one of the reasons they try to, adopt the discipline agile. Now, let me give you a story. Okay, let me give you a story, small story. The story is like this. Think about it. Let me give you a background to this story. In fact, first we build that background. It's a very interesting, story. If you go 20 years back, okay, exactly in 2001, many of you would know the great agilists in the world have been focused on finding the ways to improve how the software is developed in the company. For example, how the applications are developed. How can you make database fine-tuned? How can you really make that already mainframe migration to the mid-range computing and then the client server computing to cloud? How can you make it happen seamlessly? Things like that, right? So we have adopted some good fundamental strategies through the regular meetings, talking to the product owners, talking to the business folks, doing all the retrospectives, doing the ceremonies. We do stand-up meetings, we do retrospective, we do the reviews on our iterations or so-called sprints, etc., etc., etc. I'm not going to go into details about it right now. We also have done continuous integration, continuous deployment, test-driven development, behavioral-driven development. We know a lot of practices like pair programming, extreme programming, right, and many more. And we know what is the value of incremental releases of the respective solution which can meet the business need. Okay, we all have done and dusted about this. Typically, the whole IT team is so agile. Now the challenge starts. And story goes like this. The software development piece is not just sufficient enough. We see too many agile teams who on their own do a great job to improve the way they work, to improve the software on the incremental improvements perspective, incremental deliverables perspective. They do incremental releases of consumable solutions. Of course, we keep doing it as a part of the business and make business happy. We experiment with the new techniques to learn what works and what doesn't work. But that's not sufficient enough. Okay, we see too many teams who are doing this probably are not even talking to each other, probably having a silos with each other. Okay, probably are not even reaching out to the businesses, right? It's a classic case of a metaphor of a racing car. Okay, for example, think about a racing car. What a racing car does, of course, it runs so faster and it competes, isn't it? Now, if you have let's see this one. This is called a tractor. Of course, you see it. This is what your organization is all about right now. Okay. Now, do you think that if you put up an engine of a racing car, okay, in the tractor like this, it will run? What will happen? It probably will not. Vice versa. If you put a tractor engine in a racing car, will it run? Probably it won't. So what do you need? You have a good delivery approach, no doubt about it. This is called disciplined agile delivery here, right? You need some solid background in terms of operational support, right? Whereby you have a racing car and you have developed the racing car engine, but unless you have the people who operate it, okay, people who sustain it with you, who integrate along with your delivery approach, this tractor will not run, so-called racing car. So you need DevOps strategies. But then DevOps is not good enough as well, because the DevOps, just like your racing car requires effective team to run it in the race, your DevOps strategy also requires supporting team from IT perspective and infrastructure perspective, from security team, from a database team, architecture owner teams, and whatnots. But this is still not sufficient, my friends. This is still not sufficient. A racing car and a team you build is of a little value if you do not know where you have to race, if you don't know what's coming in, who the sponsors, who the competition. They are part of a larger racing business, right? Which has multiple value streams. It's not just IT, right? There are enough people in the business out there which you need to get integrated with. They make money from ticket sales, from advertisement, from the merchandising, and from many other sources. Isn't it? So you need this. You need F1 circuit, right? You need Formula 1 circuit. You need somebody to sponsor this car or to race, sponsor this race for sure. This is the exact metaphor that's live within all of us today. And to break this monotony of this classic expert development team, whereby they could reach out to the respective business units, and every organization at large becomes so agile enough, they do understand each other. That's where the Disciplined Agile framework comes into play. That's where this toolkit comes at help. That's where the multiple layers of Disciplined Agile come at help. That's where the principles that you see on the slide here, I'm not going to describe in interest of time all these principles, but yeah, these are a very solid principles based on the so-called challenges or the pain points, which have been greatly cowed out by Mark Lyons and Scott Ambler. And these are the latest ones in 2020, right? So when I talk about executive guide or executive thought process, right, this slide is extremely important for you as an executive to understand, or for you as a team lead or whoever to make your executives understand this. Okay, some of the principles are very straightforward, right? So delight customers, be awesome, context count, be pragmatic, choice is good, optimize the flow, organize around product services and enterprise awareness. These 8 principles, and we believe in these principles. Focus on Disciplined Agile. Each principle probably can take about 5-10 minutes, so I'm not going to get into this in detail. We utilize these principles so as to promise: 1, the value delivery. 2, we ensure that the collaboration is reached and been performed by everybody across the globe, not only just the IT team, but the business teams as well. We improve our workflow and the entire flow. Okay, we make it visible through your, of course, your dashboards and your information radiators and whatnot, right? And the last thing that I could think through is the guided continuous improvement. So I have a slide on that. Probably we'll talk about that. And we follow certain guidelines that you see here, okay, to do this. So very quick on each one, probably a minute, not more than that. What do we understand by context count? Context: every team live in a unique context. Every project have a different complexity. Every project would have a different number of people working on it. Every project will have a geographically spread. So the context really count over there, guys. And we should be able to choose our way of working within the constraint of a context, and then evolve continuously as the project grows. That's the reason the context is extremely important, and primarily there are two scaling factors we'll talk about if time permits, right? One is the strategic scaling and the tactical scaling. And these are important parameters to understand for all of us. This is called the tactical scaling, for that matter, okay? Where every situation is unique, teams are unique. You have 6 different parameters here to think through. The technical complexity, the domain complexity, the compliance, the organization structure and its distribution across the globe, the team size itself and geo distribution, how it's been placed, right? Now you could create a spider chart out of this point. If you look at my mouse cursor here, right? I can just create a nice spider chart. So if it's a very simple project, a 5-member team, all co-located, no complexity, a simple website design, for example, 5-member team, right? 1 developer, 1 tester, and whatnot. Probably most of them generalizing specialists. Okay, then probably it's just the simple, right? At the very close to the origin of this, I'll create a spider chart. The moment you increase any of this variable, right, your spider chart pulls away. And that's exactly what you need to you should be aware of. Tactical scaling. You should be able to scale unanimously whenever required. You are handling a small website development project today. You are handling a SAP migration from your existing version to HANA tomorrow. That's a classic complex project across multiple geographies and a lot of compliances as well over there probably, right? Choice is good. We should have a freedom to select the best fit, right? There are nothing called best practices, but I would say best fit using next practices. Given our situation, given our context, given our project, given our capabilities of a team, we should be able to make a choice. And to do that, as I said, all these principles are applied in my slide here. So the great Scott Ambler, while doing his presentation, he correlated all these principles through the terminologies of different things. For example, this is called a goal diagram, right? In front of you, what you see is called the goal diagram. There is something called a process goal, right? This DA toolkit takes a goal-driven approach, by the way, giving you a little bit of a background on this. Okay, the purpose of this whole goal-driven approach is to guide the people through the process-related decisions that need to be made to tailor their approaches, whether it's a small project, a medium project, or a large-scale project across geographies. So the choice is good is very much applicable using this process goal diagram, right? For example, I have drawn a goal diagram which show you something called a decision point called explore scope. I'm sorry, this is a goal called explore scope. These are multiple decisions that you make, okay, while exploring your scope in the project, and these are the kind of options that you have, okay, multiple options that you could think through. I'm not going to detail us to what is the priority and why is this goal, etc. I'm not getting into that. So goal, decision, options, and every option will have its own trade-offs. So you really know that there are about 600 different options in the entire guide where you take a plunge and where to use what. It goes so detailed enough, including that small UML piece, for example, or for example UI prototype. Okay, for every option you will see this kind of a trade-offs, the explanation of an option and the trade-offs. That's it. Honestly, the reason I love this guide, right? Now, having said that, Disciplined Agile is hybrid. It is not one single approach. It's not just the PMBOK guide in terms of a predictive life cycle. It's not just the Scrum or purely an adaptive life cycle. It's not just Kanban. It's not safe. It is a top layer sitting on all this. So it says that when I think about an executive making a decision, my teams are, some of the teams using a Scrum, some of the teams using Kanban. For example, on the new project development, I use Scrum methodology. For my regular BAU tickets, right? For incident management, I use Kanban, which is fair, which is how it should be. Because my team is comfortable. Choice is good. It's been given to the team. Okay. I'm not going to, I'm not going to impose the choices on them. Right? So I will only give them empowerment of this top layer of Disciplined Agile, which sits on top, and this particular toolkit like this, which is 600 options. And probably I will have a guide inducted in my team, as a coach, I would rather say, a corporate coach or a business coach who will take the whole team through this. How do we tailor this based on your unique situations? How do we apply this goal diagram principles to make certain decisions in the context that we have? I hope this is getting clear. Why? Because we are pragmatic. We live in a practical world. There is no ideal situation, right? There is nothing called best right now. I need the best of this. Then you keep waiting for 3 years to get the best, like the earlier projects we used to do. We have a shortest life cycle, as short as a delivery of a day, incremental delivery of a day. Thanks to my beautiful life cycle called continuous lean. Some of the key buzzwords, if you are not aware, probably I would request you to go through it. Continuous agile, continuous lean, those kind of buzzwords. Continuous lean development, primarily, talk about every day delivery, probably every 4 hours delivery for a single feature to be out. Why? Because primarily we are talking about this. Look at this, guys. We are all talking about minimum viable product, which potentially can come through this life cycle when you are embarking upon a new project for that matter, or a new program, right? And when there are a lot of variables, for example, I'll give a small example, a drug development. Is this exploratory life cycle only for the software development, unknown projects? No. Those are for R&D projects as well. And probably for any project where you want to just do a small POC, proof of concept, and prove a point to the business that this is feasible. Yes, there are the benefits. Value-driven approach to your entire value stream. I'll repeat, value-driven approach to the whole value stream. So what do? You just envision through the initial idea. You make a hypothesis, yes or no, right? So you probably make a hypothesis 0 or 1, right? Either a null hypothesis, or you say that, yes, this is going to be true. And you create whatever smallest product you can build in a day or in a week, whatever it is, whatever cycle it takes. Immediately deploy it, test it out, observe for a couple of days, and keep improving, keep improving. At a certain point of time, you feel that, oh, this doesn't make sense. Don't wait too much. Maximum 2 weeks, you are out. Sorry, this idea is ridiculous. I'm not going to stick to it. Maybe a 1 week itself. That life cycle is enough. So you think through all these scenarios and make ultimate, product available, which could be potentially giving a minimum business increment and giving a value to your stakeholders. Right? So in the interest of time, I'm not even, taking a deep dive to this. But yes, these 4 words, just remember the 4 words, right? The first is minimum viable product, that gives a rise to either the minimum business increment or minimum release feature, or both. Ultimately, releasable feature becomes part of increment when it gets released, and ultimately your entire product get released over a period of time. And that's where this scenario of guided continuous improvement comes into, my friend, comes into place, right? As continuous improvement wasn't enough though, right? Every product, every project, when it starts, let's say I start a development, it's always go through this exploratory phase, right? You all know this. And slowly and steadily, thanks to the great team cohesion, we improve our approach, we improve our delivery, we improve our value deliverables, and hence to the stakeholders' delight. But then probably we stop somewhere, it plateaus down. That's where this continuous improvement comes into play, okay? But that continuous improvement probably is not enough, okay? The great Dennings of the world, I really respect that the quality guru who talk a lot about this. And on top of that, these two champions, Mark Lyons and Scott Ambler, put up another word called guided continuous improvement. They all know, they always kept talking about, you should learn from your failures, good. But probably in today's scenario, it's not enough. You should see how best you can be successful through this ideation process. Failing fast is fine, but succeeding early is better. And to do that, you need a coach who can guide you. And that's how this guided continuous improvement comes through. You need a coach to guide you, right? So what you do, you follow the entire, the fishbone diagram here. You make a decision and you document the learnings, correct? That's as simple as that. And then when you say that, try the techniques. Some experiment failed, we learn from the failures, but probably that's not enough. So what's important is you have many potential techniques available. If not one, do an exploratory for second. If not second, do a quick decision, move to third. So whatever give you a minimum business value, minimum viable product, and minimum business increment, use that through a guided sessions or through the coaching. So your organizations need coaches there. Okay. So I really wanted to, show you these things, the primary difference between what's the applicability of the discipline agile principles. Of course, if you don't have a mindset, principles don't matter. No matter what you do, if you don't have a mindset at the top level, at executive level, it all going to flow down. So it doesn't matter. It make sense otherwise. I mean, it will not flow through. And the last thing for the day, for next 5 minutes, I'll talk about one integrated life cycle, which is also called flexed life cycle. And the principle we talk about here is a new principle which the great duo introduced in the latest version called organize around products and services. It's not that since you have the one capable team, other capable team, okay, this is the team capability, probably I'll develop a product based on the capabilities, or develop based on strengths. It's not that. Because you have a customer required products, you build your teams around the products and services, where you do a lot of requirements gathering from the product owners, from the business folks, from the stakeholders, from the customers and whatnot. And that's where this value stream driven approach comes to life. That's where this flex life cycle comes to a life. There was an organization, of course, which got merged with the PMI. Okay, and that's how this latest addition to the Disciplined Agile has come through in terms of a DF flex. This is executive level view. This is executive level view. You are an executive, and here your potential customers are existing customers. There could be multiple value streams from different teams to the same customer, from different customers to the served by same team, right? So this value delivery, utilizing so-called different blades, these are called process blades, right? That you see here, right? How it goes through. It goes through vision, mission, goals, objectives, and the strategies, a typical project management stuff. And from the strategies, you have a portfolio and programs running it. And under the programs, no, sorry, the portfolio and programs, you got a projects under it. Having said that, what we've forgotten is the product, right? Since you have a customer, you would have a products, and because you have a products or services to be delivered to them as per their expectations, you have a projects, right, which could be funded. So the flow of vision goes like this. And the funded initiatives, not every idea terminates into a project. It goes through the multiple grilling round, right? And when you have a product management team taking over, their core KRA is to deliver MBA through MVP, a minimum viable product which should be created, and the value should be given to the business, which will be coming back to the program management, project management team. The whole team here will do the implementation in the life cycle of implementation through the consumable solution, which will be released, which will be operated through IT operations team, right? DevOps will come here, obviously. Development operations, correct? It's an integrated life cycle. CI/CD pipeline will get generated automatically. Continuous improvement will keep happening. Your product backlog will keep, running. Your product vision will get mapped, and your potential value will be kept delivered to the customer in a nice incremental cycle. And instead of one single instance of value delivery, it will be an incremental value delivery, whereby the customer every day, every 2 days, every 3 days, every week, they will realize the value. And I'm so gung-ho about it because I've applied this in my organizations. And this really makes sense. However, the challenge is, should we take this or not? The choice is left to you, my friends. As executive, the choice is left to you. There are definitely good amount of benefits of the whole approach, and this is what you will find in this beautiful guide. I put up a content to this guide in case you want to see. Okay, so these are the contents to the guide. I would probably suggest that you go back, right, look at this guide. I thought I'll probably in this short period of time, I'll make a little more difference to your current knowledge. That's about it from my end. Okay, so a little bit about the ProThoughts, those who are not aware. ProThoughts solution, we do everything in the world of project management, be it a traditional or agile project management. Okay, we do everything from the perspective of project management. So we are project management shop primarily. So we do a classroom training, so-called, in COVID world, we went all online post-March 2020. We have online trainings, we have e-learnings, we have corporate training, where we go to the corporates and train them. We have a, Microsoft project, Primavera, we do a training on, and of course, our great association with the Project Insight as a software, right? So we do the deployment, implementation of the Project Insight as well. As a part of consulting services, we do consulting services in terms of advisory, setting up a PMO for the companies, doing a OPM 3 practices, organization project maturity model assessments, whether it's not traditional organization or agile organization. And of course, we have a rich content in terms of our own website called talkprojectmanagement.com. This is free of cost, of course. Please go through this. You'll get a huge amount of stuff over there. You'll find a unique bookstore which will have only project management related books, right? Only catering to project management at a discount, of course. You'll see a lot of blogs written by experts, and probably in case you want to contribute as an expert to this blog, please feel free. Go to this website and put up a request there. You'll find some latest news on project management, what's going in the world of project management today. You'll find a webinar calendar like this webinar, which keep happening, at least 4 to 6 webinars a month that ProThoughts does, and some facts and service you'll find. So ProThoughts is primarily into 6 cities in India. Of course, when we used to do before March, we had a presence, and now we probably next year onwards we start the classroom sessions also. And the most importantly, we have already started Disciplined Agile trainings. So if I have to quickly look, show you this certification roadmap of Disciplined Agile, there are 5 primary certifications in the roadmap currently on the Disciplined Agile. And these primary 5 certifications, okay, can lead you towards your journey of agility, the business agility, I call it as. Right? I would request you to probably go through a pmi.org website, which is a unique website where every content of it. So please go through it, and you'll find a lot more details about the certifications. Right? You can probably go through our past webinars on the certifications as well. If you're interested more. If you have any thought processes, anything that you probably think that you need, please feel free and contact us on this email and this number as well.